Give me 2.
Hey, what's up, the world? We're on the internet. I'm Michael Govier. This is the Palazzo Podcast. 2 L's, 2 Z's. You just heard
Utah.
Gary Busey doing his
Give me
thing.
2.
Give me 2. Follow us on Twitter, Standard Issue, everywhere. Discord's free. Description's in the link. And everywhere we have a video or a show that you can hear in audio form. It's all over the place. Don't be surprised. Don't worry about it. It's all easily accessible. Today, it's me and my pal Britton Allen, of course. There's Britton down there. We're back for the Friday show. Welcome aboard again, Britton. You had a vacation last week, and now you're back. You don't want to say anything?
What's up?
Wow. I mean, you're usually so long-winded. That was quite that was a amount of brevity from you there.
I really do. Usually I drone on and on and on, but since Mike is here today, I'm very excited. So I was trying, not to get in the way or anything like that. So, but
very classy.
Happy to be here. Love seeing you guys. I can't wait to talk baseball with y'all. I've been looking forward to this all week. So I'm just really
that's very sad. But yeah, I'm excited to be here too. There's got to be something better than this, but I'll tell you, I am kind of excited because we've got Mike here today. Mike, I'm so sick of calling you Mike. We're not revealing your last name. You're just Mike, but we need to have like a nickname for you, because I'm like, Mike is such a general ass name that you could be anyone,
That's true.
So we need like a Palazzo Mike or something. I don't know.
I like it. I can roll with that.
But then I'm Mike, but I'm Govier, so hopefully we could distinguish. See, this is the problem here. It's a total mess here. I'm just droning on like Britton here.
Say, boy, you cover about as much as a flapper skirt in a high wind.
But I'll tell you this. Mike is going to be a part of the show going forward. I'm very excited about it. It's a big moment here. So Britton and Mike and myself, the 3 of us, we're going to be doing some more shows together frequently on this podcast, the Palazzo Podcast. I've also got another guy in the hopper who I'll talk about next week that I got a confirmation that he likes to do shows, and he wants to do shows with us. So there's so much going on here. And today's edition with Mike and Britton and myself is all about the do not draft list. Who were players that we targeted and did not target, more specifically, that we avoided and did it work out? Have we made mistakes? Also, I want to talk about the mistakes we've made so far this year. We're 80 days into the season. It's June 16th. The Cubs were kicking the Orioles' ass last time I saw it today at Wrigley Field, while everyone is hammered at Wrigley on a Friday, which is very, very standard issue for a Friday 2:20 Eastern Standard Time game at Wrigley Field. But, yeah, Mike, you excited to be here?
I am, man. I'm excited. I love hanging out with you guys. My first show doing with Britton. You guys obviously do great work together, and I'm happy to be part of the mold going forward. So this will be a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to it all day.
That's putting it mildly.
Hell yes. I love it. All right, that's what we're here for, to inform you guys, entertain, maybe have a few laughs along the way. Britton, you and I talked about our favorite fast food burgers a couple weeks ago. You recall that?
I do. I went Wendy's. I'm a Wendy's fan, and I believe wasn't one of your favorite burgers from the Shake Shack called the mushroom burger, as I recall.
It's called the Shake Stack, I think is the actual technical name, but it is a portobello mushroom filled with cheese on top of the burger. It's really fucking good.
Delicious.
And yeah, I got a problem, but I've been trying to get off that stuff lately. So Mike knows a thing or two about that stuff, about trying to help people, get their lives together and not be a total mess. But
yep,
you're only human, Mike, so we got to get you on the record. What's your favorite fast food burger? Come on, let's hear it.
Man, I'm gonna have to roll with Britton on this one. I'm a big Wendy's guy. So
wow, what?
Yep. I don't know what it is. I like the spicy chicken sandwich from there as well. But like, I was listening to the show when you guys were talking about it before, but I used to be able to slam down like 10 JBCs, junior bacon cheeseburgers, no problem. I just inhale those things. So,
wow,
this is a smart man. This is a smart man.
Poop shoot. Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. That one, and the only other one I was thinking of, I don't know if you guys have had Cookout before.
Oh, I know Cookout.
Burgers,
I like Cookout.
Their burgers are pretty good too.
That's in Tennessee, right, Britton?
It is. It's a teeny tiny little like kiosk basically.
Yeah.
But the cookout burgers are delicious. So yeah, I'm a big fan. They kind of remind me. Do you remember Backyard Barbecue? I don't know if y'all had that.
Yes,
Yeah.
see. Both of these were in South Carolina when I lived in Charleston back in the day. So I know, or one currently is with Cookout, and Backyard Barbecue was around a while ago.
Do you remember the commercials back in the day for Wendy's with those two old ladies that would open up they'd get the burger and they'd open up the patties or the buns. They'd be like, "Where's the beef?"
Yes,
Do you remember that? That was a Wendy's commercial.
Mike doesn't. Mike's much. We got like a tri-level thing going on here. We got Old Man Britain, then I'm a couple years behind Britain, and then Mike's a couple more years behind me. So we have a gap of about 11 years here where we can not quite hit every pop culture reference that Britain's going to bring up.
I'm so old, like my back hurts, for no reason. I'm 46. The other day I went to tie my shoes and something happened in my back and I had to like lay down for a minute. I was like, being 46 sucks, Mike. I try to avoid it if
all right.
you can.
Yeah, I'm 30. I'm 35, going on 36. So hopefully, I got at least a couple more years before that starts happening, I guess.
You're gonna kill an old man, you coward!
We got the live chat rolling here, so if you guys want to get involved, jump in. We'll do our best to answer your questions. You've always got fantasy concerns. Well, should I start this person? Should I start so-and-so? Who's good? Who sucks? We don't know everything, but we try to know a thing or two. Anthony wants to know Mike directly. Forget me, forget Britain. Mike, thoughts on Emmet Sheehan of the Dodgers? He's got the call, and he's going to start for the Dodgers.
Yep. Well, first, I also want to get Britton and Michael's thoughts on him as well. But I'm excited. He's apparently been lighting up Double-A, and the Dodgers need him. I know there's been some speculation about him possibly being around only for a start, but if he pitches well today, I don't see that happening. I think he'll be around for a couple. But it's also worth noting that the Dodgers, I believe, only play 5 times next week. So, yeah. He's an exciting young prospect, and if you have room to add him, I'd be adding him for sure, just off pure upside alone and what he's been doing in Double-A, and hoping that it transitions over to the majors. So, what do you guys think?
Give it to us, Britton.
All right, so I love Sheehan too. He only had Double-A starts, so no Triple-A. He got called up to Triple-A, but didn't make any starts. The problem is, I think it is a spot start situation.
Oh, you do?
I do. Julio Urias is throwing off a mound. He's going to do 1 or 2 rehab starts next week. So I think Urias is going to be back fairly soon. And, another thing, I just don't think they're going to press. This is an aggressive move by the Dodgers. The Dodgers aren't the type to, push somebody up like this. So they really like Sheehan, obviously, but I don't know. I think it's going to be 1 start or 2, and then they send him back down. Now, of course, if he's lights out, AKA Bobby Miller style, then they'll find a way. But as Mike said, they're not pressed right now. So 5 games, they're going to see how it goes and let him go, because if they didn't call him up today, then they were going to have to do a bullpen game. And that's just something they didn't want to do. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, he's got the stuff. He's in 50. It was like 50 innings pitched. He had 88 strikeouts. Now that's Double-A, but I mean, that's wicked. That's good stuff.
Wow, Britton. So you're feeling really locked in on the fact that this is just going to be get in, get out, and the Dodgers are moving on. We always want these players to stay up, right? We don't want them to leave. We want Emmet Sheehan to stay and be a dominant starter the rest of the season. But the reality is, more often than not, that's not what happens.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Here's another thing too: is I know Syndergaard's on the IL. Grove hasn't been very good. Do they possibly go maybe a 6-man rotation and try to save guys like Kershaw or Urias from injuring themselves again? I think we're going to be at a point in the season where I think we're going to start seeing a lot of teams maybe implement a 6-man. I don't know.
Wow, dude. Hey.
And if you don't like it, well, you know what? You could just go ahead and fuck yourself.
That's really what it comes down to in the end, right?
I think that's a great point. I think if Sheehan plays well, they'll send Grove down, right? He's not been, not been good.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Grove. I thought he got a shaky. Okay, he got a raw deal, I thought, in a way. And as Anthony says here in our live chat, I dropped Luis Matos for him today for the start.
Ooh.
Luis Matos has more of a long-term reality for the Giants if he can thrive right now because, as the poster boy of today's episode, Mitch Haniger, who I'm pointing at on the cover, Mitch Haniger ruined my season. It's not true at all. I just thought it'd be a silly thing to say. But with Mitch Haniger out for the year, toast again. Why did I ever draft Mitch Haniger, guys? What was I thinking? How could I ever have imagined that he would play a full season? The guy's always injured. What was I thinking? Yep. So stupid.
Yeah, Haniger's been unlucky though. It's not like chronic injuries. Like he got his balls hurt
sack?
one year.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't want to say that out loud, but
it's fine. I'll do all the dirty stuff.
Michael Govier is good to go, but yeah. So these he hasn't had like a chronic injury history, so it's perfectly reasonable. But the thing with the Giants is they mix and match. They play platoons. They very analytically driven from their GM, who's awesome. So it's tough. Playing time is tough, in San Francisco. Like one of my favorite call-ups recently was Casey Schmidt. He's a full-blown platoon. Like you can't.
Yeah.
You got to let him go as much as I like. As much as I like his swagger, like they're just you can't, especially like in a 12 team, you can't roster a platoon player. So
he's got walk problems too. Baseball Pods on Twitter the other day, I read the tweet he posted. He was surprised to find out how terrible Casey Schmidt is at taking a walk. Like not just bad, like league worst awful, Mike. Casey Schmidt he's not going to stay in business when things go sour if he can't draw a walk. That's why I like to harp on walks. It's not just because I play a lot of OBP leagues, which I do, but it's also because a walk will get you through some hard times, which are just inevitably a part of playing the game of baseball as a hitter.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head. Another OBP guy that has come out of nowhere is Wade Jr. If you guys have him on any of your rosters, but first base and outfield eligible. He sits against some lefties, but yeah, I agree with you on Schmidt. I think he's a better real life player than he is fantasy, but especially if you're not drawing walks, and that's a big thing too. You brought up a good point, Michael, is when you're going through slumps, hitting the ball and getting hits, walks can kind of get you out of that. And at least tells you that you're seeing the ball well, right? And then if you're striking out a lot or you're a guy who chases a lot too, teams are going to start picking that apart. So, and it seems like the Giants have run out of patience on that. So,
yeah, look at this right here. 0.8% walk rate, guys, right here.
Yeah,
on Casey Schmidt. That's brutal. Yep. That's just absolutely brutal, Britton. You can't live like that. You can't survive. I mean, how could anybody? I know Casey Smith's starting to struggle, but there's no reason to see this guy. And I got to give shout out, Britton, to our guy Ben, who I think a month ago or maybe 6 weeks ago said, I have little faith in Casey Schmidt as a viable fantasy option because of things like this.
Yeah, that's so important. And the reason why he's still up, like they literally haven't like put his bags on the bus and sent him to AA or AAA is because he's a really good defender. Yeah. And when he got called up, Brandon Crawford was hurt too. So they needed somebody. So yeah, but that walk rate is completely, unacceptable. And so I think he's going to get sit down sooner than later.
Something to help you go down.
Yeah. Well, something to help you go down. Your play. That's it. Bye, Casey Schmidt. So long. But Luis Matos, if you dropped him, Anthony, Mike, you don't like that?
No, I don't. Like you mentioned earlier, I think he has there's some question marks around Sheehan's how long he's going to be around for, right? And then not to mention too, how many innings they let him throw, et cetera, et cetera. I just think there's more of a playing time thing with Matos than Sheehan. So, and he's got a clear shot at playing and batting in the 2-hole his first game, his only game that he's had in the majors. I like him better, but it also depends on team need. If you're hurting at starting pitching, I don't mind it as far as taking a shot, but I just rather have Matos. So,
well, you look at Matos, guys. A year ago, he's at high A, shows some power, hits 11 bombs and 407 plate appearances. Then he goes up to AA last year, and he gets to AAA this year. Well, AA this year, sorry, and then AAA. Now he's here. So it's been a real quick ascension from a guy who was at high A last year for basically most of the season. He actually started the complex league in 2022. before he ended up at high A, where he showed that he could hit for power, but he did not hit for average, and he did not walk much, but he also showed a real excellent ability not to strike out that much. Even his worst season in the minors, he had a 16% K rate last year in high A in those 407 plate appearances. So Matos is fun, Britton, or are you like, well, we're talking redraft here. Obviously in Dynasty, Matos is a guy that people have targeted, but in redraft, 12-team leagues, is that a viable thing, or is he more of a deep league play for you?
No, he's definitely viable in 12-team leagues. And I was talking to Mike on Twitter the other day, too. I was like, he was killing it in AAA. Like, he's made all the right adjustments. Luis Matos has a really bright future. But, gentlemen, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. Like, we're burying the lead. The biggest call-up since Ronald Acuna Jr. or maybe even Chris Bryant happened last week. And on this very podcast, not to pat myself on the back, but I said, and I quote, he's coming up immediately. Of course, who am I talking about? I'm talking about Jorge Alfaro for the Rockies, called up. Get him on every single roster. That's who
sucker, man.
Is that who you thought I was going to say?
That's exactly what I thought you were going with. I love Jorge. Oh, we all love Jorge Alfaro. We're waiting for his return.
Yeah.
So
of
good.
Of course, I'm kidding. I'm talking about Elly de la Cruz, who last week I said wasn't getting called up. And then luckily, I think it was Mike in the chat said, no, he's on the 40-man. And then I retracted all my previous statements like a seasoned politician, just waffling like a Grand Slam Denny's breakfast. Like so many, like waffles stacked on waffles. I can't even see past all the waffling I did on Elly de la Cruz for the Reds.
I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah. But that was also 2 weeks ago, and you immediately corrected your mistake. You came clean, so don't be too hard on yourself.
Oh, yeah, not at all.
It's not like he's that good anyways. I mean, he's been all right for the Reds. It's, 8 steals or whatever in 8 days. Who knows? I mean, he's got a lot of steals. He's got power. He's also striking out a lot, isn't he, Mike?
Yes, I did mention that, I believe last week or the week before we talked about it. I was a little worried about his K rate. So he is getting a heavy dose. I don't know if you guys watch his at-bats, but he's getting a heavy dose of breaking balls, sweepers, curveballs. I think everybody knows that he can hit the fastball. So, yeah. But the steals are nice. I'd like to see him stop striking out so much. But like we talked about before, I think he has a long leash. So he'll be fine.
Hiring you was the biggest mistake I ever made.
I think Elly de la Cruz is such a special talent. Yes, he'll be fine. There'll be bumps in the road, but he's still going to give you so many steals this year because whenever you get on base, he could exploit this environment this year. I love it. I wish I had a single share. I have none. I have no Elly de la Cruz, and it sucks. All right, we got so much more to get to, and I got to move us along here, or else we'll be here for 40 years and 40 nights. So, fire it up. Business time music rolling here. Got groove on here. Look at three white guys dancing. Oh, boy. It's real simple. The show's growing, and we love your support. We've had some subscribers that have bumped us up over 500. I can't believe we got to 500 suddenly. I want to thank everybody who subscribed on the YouTube. Of course, 5-star reviews on all the podcast platforms, folks. You know how the show works. People ignore shows unless they get reviewed and reviewed properly. I didn't make this system, We're just trying to live in it and do the best we can. So please, if you can, you like the show, never reviewed us, give us that 5-star rating. Pretty please? Thanks so much. All right, let's send it over to Britton. Britton, what's going on with your Fab show? What's the next episode looking like?
It's going to come out either Sunday or Monday. This week came out on Monday where I discussed Ranger Suarez, and thank goodness he actually had a good start to kind of help my ego a little bit. And Edward Julian.
You feel flimsy? You
yes.
on unstable ground right now?
I'm so unstable. It's amazing. I don't know how I walk around, But it's called It's Gone. Thank you, Michael, for letting me talk about it. It's on the Sports Ethos Network. So, I talk about players I want to pick up, and please give it a listen if you can.
Damn right. Everybody check it out. It's gone.
It's a doozy.
And over to Mike. Mike, what's going on over at We Know Fantasy? And you're doing your notes at Twitter. Come on, tell us things. This is your business opportunity. Expand your horizons.
Yeah, just still doing the notes online on Twitter. So if you aren't subscribing to those, I usually do those pretty early in the morning, but I try to bump those up in the mid-morning. But talk about everything from the night before. On Sundays, Mondays, we talk about some waiver wire stuff, easiest hitter schedules, toughest hitter schedules, some guys that may not be as heavily owned in some leagues, and some guys you can probably pick up. And I try to exploit the matchups as well, so we talk about that on there. But also do a lot of Q&A. So waiver wire article comes out on Sundays, so be on the lookout for that. Give you my time.
I just want to thank each and every one of y'all.
Thanks, guys. Good stuff. As far as me, Groove with Govier comes out every Tuesday, ftnfantasy.com. I'm also doing this video on Saturdays at 6 o'clock on the FTN Network YouTube channel, and no one has shown up for it. I can't get a goddamn person to show up for this thing at all. I don't know what it is. It's a Saturday at 6. Everyone's out living their lives. Last thing they want to do is be watching a video. But we live in the modern world where everyone has their phone in their hand or in their pocket. Don't give me that shit. You can just click the YouTube link and be there while you're at the beach. You could be anywhere. You could be on a roller coaster. You could be going up the Top Thrill Dragster and still be watching me. So please consider just checking out that show. It's on the FTN Network YouTube channel. It'll make me look a little bit better. I really could use the support over there. And even if you don't watch it live, you can still watch it after the fact, because we're talking about the week to come, kind of like what Britain's doing with his It's Gone show with the Fab. We're not doing just Fab. We're like, here's some guys to add, 2-start pitchers to look at, all the standard stuff you need to do for the weekly look ahead on Saturday at 6 p.m. FTN YouTube channel. You can do it. Please. That's what I would like to share with you. I think that's all the business, I think. There's probably other people doing cool shit out there that I'm not even aware of. Tout Wars, I won last week. I'm back to 5-5, so I'm still hanging tough in Tout Wars. It's head-to-head, so you get one win for the whole week, not per category. And I got to say, guys, big shout-out in Tout Wars to Greg Jewett, the reliever recon master himself. He is undefeated in our Tout Wars league. He's like 11-0. He's 10-0. He is 10-0, and he is really pissed about finishing as the runner-up last season and wants to take down that title. So, Greg Jewett, good job, brother. Well done. Well deserved. All right. I think that's enough for the business affairs of the day. Oh, the Patreon. Yeah. Patreon starts at $3. You know the deal. Description, link. Check it out. Rankings, all that stuff. Football starting up too. I'm a huge college football guy. I'll be rolling on some of that stuff. You know, Britain loves college football too. So maybe we could talk some college football. Who knows, Britain? Would that be crazy?
Can we also do a quick shout out to the College World Series is coming up. I believe it starts today. I don't know if y'all know the College World Series, but LSU has at least two first rounders on their starting lineup.
Oh, yeah.
But they play tomorrow. I think Virginia.
Dylan Cruz.
Yeah. So big shout out. And I unfortunately, my University of Tennessee Volunteers, I think, are in their bracket. So LSU versus Tennessee tomorrow. Let's go, Vols.
Can't do it.
Hey, no, I think he could do it. Come on.
Allegedly.
I feel very good about Tennessee. Go Tennessee! Although you were totally wrong about Peyton Manning stealing that Heisman Trophy from Charles Woodson. You don't know shit about that, so you can take that shit to the curb, Britton.
That was a sad day in Heisman history, my friend.
Sad day. That's the biggest, glorious, finest moment ever. A defensive player finally won a Heisman Trophy. That should be the most glorious day in Heisman history.
He had 2 interceptions. That I don't think.
I don't think that had 2 interceptions.
He had 2 interceptions and a punt return. I mean, that's nice. Hello, Tim Dwight from Iowa, but you know, whatever.
Oh, you dick.
Peyton Manning was a dominant quarterback for the SEC. But anyway,
he was good.
Okay. Yeah.
Peyton Manning ended up being all right, and so did Charles Woodson. They're both Hall of Famers.
Yeah, Peyton Manning had
right?
a pretty good career, I guess. I don't know.
Do you remember Charles Woodson? I mean, Mike, you were much younger, but as a college player,
yeah,
maybe any memories?
Yeah, yep, absolutely. I mean,
yes.
You know, I'm a big Peyton Manning guy. I'm a big Peyton Manning guy.
Be honest, had you ever heard of Charles Woodson before 5 minutes ago? Okay.
Yes, I did. Right.
Yeah, he did, because he knows the best players to ever play this fucking game, Charles Woodson.
I will say, not as much in college, but I am a big Peyton Manning guy. He's arguably one of my favorite athletes in any sport. So,
And he does great commercials. Cut that meat. I mean, Saturday Night Live, hitting those little kids with the football. Classic.
Yeah, he's a lot funnier than his brother. So.
Hell yeah! Yeah!
But his brother has 2 Super Bowls. So
who cares?
So does Peyton. They both have 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Peyton. Oh, that's right. Denver.
Yeah, he won that stupid Broncos one where he had a dead.
I don't acknowledge the Denver.
He did. I mean, his leadership was really on full. I'll give a lot of credit to Peyton Manning. That final year, it was all leadership. He had no arm left. He was throwing garbage passes. Noodle arm, dead arm passes. But that defense was so damn good. Actually, you look back, you probably think Cam Newton probably should have won that Super Bowl, but yeah, he blew it. So. Just like Ron Rivera blew it this season because he's an overrated coach. Anyways, this is not football talk. We're here for baseball. Pigeon Patrol's here, says, let's go Cubbies. No. Yeah, the Cubs. Are they still rocking the Birds' ass today?
I don't know. What's 3-2 last I checked? I'm pretty sure.
It got tighter.
Let's go Cubbies.
Miguel Amaya, the catcher, the phenom, the young power-hitting catcher, Miguel Amaya, crushed his hardest exit velocity to date on a home run today, and Christopher Morel went yard again. Hey, Mike, remember we talked about Morel. Morel's heating up again, dude.
Yes,
and I don't even know what I said because I do so many damn shows every week where I'm just talking up my ass. I mean, I wasn't against Morel, but he was too hot when he was so hot that it couldn't last. But that didn't mean it was over.
No, yeah, I think we talked about him last week. The K percentage was up, but he's rocking it again. He's 3 for the Cubbies are winning 9-2 now, and he's 3 for 4 today with 3 RBIs and a home run. So
that's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good, Britton. It's not bad.
The professor, Kyle Hendricks, going 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, only 1 K. But look, playing in Chicago,
almost threw a no-hitter at the Giants last weekend.
Yep. Hey, he's producing, and the Cubs I think are underrated. Like their record isn't great, but they've got a lot of talent. And like you said, Morel, I like the Cubs, and Kyle Hendricks is out there on the waiver wire if you need to replace like a Louis Varland or some kind of fringy player like that. I like.
Yeah, what the hell happened there? Why is Kenta Maeda not up yet? I've been waiting for him to get the call. I don't know what happened there. I dumped Varland expecting Maeda to return this week, and that has technically not happened yet. So,
hey, Michael, Patrick Wisdom was playing in the outfield today. I don't know.
Oh gosh,
oof.
Would love to get some outfield eligibility, but I dumped his ass in a lot of leagues because he went. Yes, he had a fun April, 14 home runs, but he's hitting 200 at best now. It was the fun part of the season for Wisdom, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have another 10 home run streak over the course of 35 days. He could still do that, but he's still going to whiff a lot. Let's go Cubbies, as we said. Yes, Pigeon Patrol, thank you so much. All right, it's time to. I got to play this real quick for the Cubs fans.
Here it is. There goes a runner. Hey, a line drive off the pitcher's game's over. Cubs win. What a lucky break. The good Lord wants the Cubs to win.
Everybody's shit-faced at Wrigley. It's incredible. Oh, my God.
The Lord wants us to drink and the Cubs to win.
That's right.
That worked out well for everybody there.
That was a great day. I'm sure they didn't win a damn thing that season, whenever that was. But anyways, let's get into leading off. All right. And leading off, we always like to highlight not just good things, but just things that are important, important areas of note. The first catch of the day.
Good. Our first catch of the day.
And I wrote a name on here, but we'll start because you guys did some good work. It looks like, I'm guessing that this was written by, because we have a show sheet, by the way, so we do like a Google Doc collab where all 3 of us dump shit in there, and then we just try to figure it out. But this looks to me like it was written by Britton Allen. Yoan Moncada to the IL. That means it's burger time. Am I right, Britton?
Yes, sir. Yoan Moncada now. Shout out ITL. So Yoan Moncada's on the IL. Shout out. It is Jake Burger time. And as we discussed earlier, we love the burgers. We love Jake Burger. We love Jake Burger's power. If you look at his metrics, it's all backed up. So, it's not a Patrick Wisdom situation. Like Burger is a good hitter, and now he's got the opportunity. He's got all the red on the, hard hit rates and all that kind of fun stuff. But, and Jake Burger is not just like a, meathead guy, pun intended. He is actually a vegetarian. He's an enigma wrapped in a mystery. You think you know Jake Berger, you really don't. But I love him having third base everyday plate appearances. If for some reason you're in a 12 team or whatever, if Jake Berger is out on the waiver wire, go pick him up, put him at your corner infield, because he is a true like Nelson Cruz just kind of slugger. I love Jake Berger, especially, and I hope Yoan Moncada gets better, but Jake Berger, I guess I'm the only one. But Jake Berger, first time plate appearances, I love it. I'm all about the Berger time.
Poop shoot. Yeah.
Jake Berger, clearly with that vegan butthole, is a very fresh poop shoot. But Mike, Yoan Moncada, I've lived that life for a long time. Basically, my entire fantasy career here as a public analyst since 2020, Mike. I'd be like, oh, Yoan Moncada, he's coming back. Just give him some time. That was a couple of years ago. Now it's 2023, and I am just done with Moncada completely. I have finally shed myself of the awful hope that is hoping that Mr. Moncada will get better. I'm free! I'm finally free! I don't have to live like this anymore.
I'm with you, man. I used to, before he got traded to the White Sox, that Chris Sale deal, he was one of my favorite prospects ever. And he's been such a disappointment. Like they were talking about this guy being the next big thing, and he just can't stay healthy. Every year I buy into Yoan Moncada when he has like those first 5 games when he's got like 2 home runs and 6 RBIs, and everyone's like, oh, is he finally going to put it together? The White Sox lineup's actually pretty talented. And then he sucks again. So, which, by the way, I'm glad you brought this up, Britton, too, because like, why doesn't this guy start more? Jake Berger is a beast. I think he's up to 15 home runs now, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm so glad that he's actually going to get some consistent playing time. He's such a fun power bat to watch. So good call here. But Yoan Moncada,
look at this. Look at this. If you're seeing the YouTube version, you're watching us now or later, you can see all the blue, just cold from the runs to the OBP to his hard hit rate to his xWOBA. It's just all awful. It's
terrible.
It's just Moncada, to me, I didn't always know this, Britton, but now I believe it. He is a guy who doesn't really have a passion for the game. I've heard that, and we've seen him do his videos and his music, and he likes, he's got a lot of interest. Good for him. That's great. But his main job is to hit a baseball, and he doesn't seem to have a desire to do that. And I think that's a problem, because when I saw him in 2015, I saw him in Charleston at Single A, the River Dogs, owned by a part owner, Bill Murray. Shout out to Bill Murray. Good stuff there.
Was that a Red Sox affiliate? Didn't he come up through the Red Sox?
Yeah. He was still I believe they were still Red Sox affiliate at the time in 2015. And I sat right there in the first row, right behind home plate. It's a minor league stadium. It's easy to get good seats. And boy, his shoulders were just so broad. And he was so young still. I'm like, dude, this guy is going to be a badass. But it doesn't matter how ripped you are if you don't have an interest in the game to improve yourself, work on your craft, etc.
Yeah, you got a Queen Elsa.
Oh,
you got to take the gloves
off. Is that a
off.
child thing? Because I don't have children. That sounds like a Frozen reference, but I don't even know what that means other than that.
Yeah, it's a Frozen reference. So I have 2 daughters. They're in their Disney stage of life. So I've watched Frozen 10,000 times, and when Queen
That's
Elsa
putting it mildly.
takes her gloves off and she starts singing "Let It Go," you're like, yeah, and that's what you got to do with Yoan Moncada now. Just let it go. He's a young guy, so there's time to turn it around. But yeah,
sure.
No, it's Jake Berger's. It's Jake.
He could have like that return to glory season that a veteran can have out of the blue. The veteran, the post hype sleeper who never popped, and then he pops again for like a World Series contender when he's 33. It could happen,
Yeah,
but it's very unlikely to me that will happen.
Don't hold your breath.
I mean, Carlos Rodon, he had to basically be called out by his own wife and shamed in public before he finally could turn it on, and then he turned himself into a mega deal. And now he's with the Yankees, and he got paid, and he's good to go. But Rodon did turn it on for more than one season. Moncada only gave us 2019. That's all we've ever had. So.
Yeah, and probably all we ever will. But hey, real quick, shout out Olaf, best Disney sidekick ever. I said it.
Genius, genius,
Olaf. Yeah, that's another one I don't know. Man, I'm just in the dark here. You guys both have kids, right? So I'm the clueless guy here.
Yeah. Oh, we're not on the Frozen stage yet. We're still in the the toddler stages of Elmo and Sesame Street and all those other shows. So
Wait, what? I'm sorry. You could Frozen 7 and older, please. No viewers under 7 will watch Frozen.
He just can't sit
Frozen's
still.
dark, man. It starts off on some real life stuff. It's intense, but
it's intense. He's a grown 46-year-old man talking about how intense Frozen is. That's
so
fucking
intense,
hilarious.
man. I shed a little tear every time I watch the beginning of Frozen. I mean, look, no spoilers, no spoilers here.
No spoilers. I gotta watch it. You know what? I think there's a Disney Plus subscription upstairs. I might go watch it this weekend just so I can talk about it and feel like I'm part of things next time.
You're gonna love it.
You're going to love it. Hey, you know what you're not going to love, fantasy baseball managers? By the way, we're live here, Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah.
We got a great crew. It's me, Michael Govier, MJ Govier on Twitter, Britton Allen. That's 2 T's and 2 L's, Britton Allen on Twitter. And then Mike, MKB Fantasy on Twitter. And it's really annoying when I type in MKB Fantasy in Twitter in the search and it doesn't come up. It's just Twitter's stupid now. It's really lost a few tools, to say the least. I still use it. It's still important to me because I've met people like you guys and we get to connect through sports on Twitter, but I am frustrated by, I don't know, the bare bones Twitter we seem to have these days. But at any rate,
I hope
Mervis,
everybody goes and follows Mike too, because Mike, I love your daily tweets because it's all the good stuff, like filtered, and clean and just perfect. I absolutely love it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I strive for. I want people to kind of get get what they need, and then while they're enjoying their coffee, and then go about their day. So I appreciate that.
Okay, well, I mean, the internet is a great place, and we can make it what we want it to be, folks. That's what's cool about it. MKB Fantasy on Twitter.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Well, for those of you that are not excited about Matt Mervis being demoted, I can't blame you. There's a real lesson I feel here, guys, and I wanted to talk about this specifically in relation to Mervis. Matt Mervis, a lot of hype, gets called up, doesn't do shit, okay? Now, you mentioned the Cubbies and David Ross. I think Britton said that a few minutes ago. I have some concerns because they do have some talent. Cody Bellinger's back, too, in the mix today. That's good news. You guys get Bellinger back in your lineups. They want to trade him and focus on him and, really, unless one of you guys think the Cubs are actually going to turn this around still, because David Ross has shown me that inconsistent ability to be a quality manager here, but maybe it's because the front office is giving a lot of mixed signals as well. It's a real mess, and I don't blame Matt Mervis here. I really don't. I think he's still talented, but I'm a little annoyed. Very annoyed, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Mervis wasn't playing well, so, they had Bellinger.
Yeah, but he was... He got sat, and he didn't always get the opportunity to just kind of like play it. They brought him up to play him. Why the hell would they bring him up to not play him? Even if he was struggling, he should just send his ass down instead of starting to like sit him more and then maybe platoon him here. It didn't make sense for a guy that's supposed to be a coveted part of their organization.
Yeah, I remember at the Arizona Fall League, everybody fell in love with him. I went and saw him, and he's a dude. I mean, he's a big, strong man. You
and I were both there. We watched that happen. But I do remember, Britton, people saying like, I don't know if Mervis is ready. I actually had a couple conversations, and I'm pissed at myself because I was like, no, that's all bullshit. I'm just going to follow the hype train. Damn it. Maybe, I'm not saying he's not good. I don't know. I'm confused. Look how conflicted I am, Mike. I'm all messed up here.
Yeah, I think there is a lesson to be learned. I think now more than ever, and especially with the previous seasons, we really didn't see a whole wave of prospects get called up like it is now. Teams are incentivized to bring these guys up. So I think some of us are probably still living in the past. Like, hey, like when these prospects get up, you got to hammer them. You got to get them in your lineup. They're going to be the next big thing. And then they end up pooping the bed. So I was a big Matt Mervis guy as well. This is the kind of the tough thing, I think, with, franchises, and I don't envy them. But when you got guys like Christopher Morel, Matt Mervis, even Elly De La Cruz, Christian Encarnacion Strand, these guys end up killing. They don't have anything left to prove in the minors, but then that big jump up into the majors, they just struggle. And I'm with you, Michael, too. I'm not a big David Ross guy. I never really have been. I just don't think he's a very good manager. But if you're bringing this guy up, he's got to play. And I know he wasn't hitting lefties well, so maybe he was on that short end of a platoon. But I don't understand the move really. But
you're not going to go out with me tonight because these idiots found 2 poopies in a bed?
Yeah, Dee, but it's not the poop. It's the mystery behind the poop.
Barack Obama's here. Says, everyone pick up Emmet Sheehan. Thanks, Barack. So glad you could join us. I didn't know we'd ever be graced with your presence. This is a big moment for the Palazzo podcast. Thank you, Barack. Thank you.
Utah, give me 2.
Yeah, David Ross is actually a guy I thought was going to be a great manager, but now I have to change my tune here. We got to update and adapt to the situation. All right, there's so much more to cover on this. The other one I wanted to cover is how Matt Mervis and Brandon Pfaadt are 2 examples of guys that were very hyped who didn't work out this year. Now, it doesn't mean they suck, but I do think there is a lesson to be learned here, gentlemen, about groupthink. And, I don't want to go crazy and, hey, I know everything. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. I just want...
Was that Howard Dean?
Wait, was it? Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
there he is.
Oh,
hey,
God.
19 years later. He's still around somewhere, isn't he? Thanks, Howard.
He's like the chancellor of some William and Mary or some
sure,
or something like that.
Yeah, he's probably funding poop studies for people who poop the bed at their universities, I'm sure. But guys, I'm genuinely concerned, and I'm taking full responsibility. I'm not going to blame the masses, but I'm going to blame myself for getting caught up in, hey, these guys are going to be great. Matt Vermis, Brandon Pfaadt, these guys are legendary. I remember it all started, Brandon Pfaadt. The first time I heard his name was actually at Arizona Fall League, and I think I've mentioned this on the show before. Last year, Britton, we were there in Arizona for the wonderful Baseball HQ event, First Pitch Arizona. It's awesome. It's a great time. And I was moderating a panel with Nick Pollack and Jeff Zimmerman and Chris Clegg, and Paul Spohr was in the audience making jokes about Brandon Pfaadt. We're talking about pitchers that we could find after ADP 350, I think, roughly, or deep pitching opportunities for the 2023 season. And Paul Spohr was making jokes about that. That was the first time I was like, oh, who's Brandon Pfaadt? I'm not really familiar. And then that's where the hype just took off from there. And I heard his name all weekend, and everyone's secretly talking in hushed tones about Brandon Pfaadt. And here we are. It didn't really work out this year. So I want to know how you guys see this. Am I a fool or is it everyone else's fault? Or is this just what happens in baseball? I want to know. You guys tell me.
I would say it just happens because specifically Brandon Pfaadt, he was a big James Anderson guy. Like James Anderson, and y'all know James Anderson, right? The prospect guru for, I believe it's RotoWire. Yeah. Brilliant. Knows his stuff. He was all over Brandon Pfaadt. And on top of that,
he's ready. Look at him.
Was Chris Welsh from in this league who lives in Arizona and went
Prospect One.
Yeah, shout out to him and Scott Bogman. So, and he, literally will go to the spring training, and get eyes on these guys. So both those very well respected, fantasy analysts said Brandon Pfaadt is a dude to keep your eye on. So what do? You say, well, of course you listen to them because they're more right than wrong. Of course, you're not going to get everything right. That's not how life works. But
you don't blame them either.
Oh, of course not. No, of course not. No. Just because it doesn't work out doesn't mean they didn't have a good process. Things just don't work out, unfortunately, in life sometimes. But
what?
I don't think it's your fault for listening.
Didn't work out for Howard Dean either, did it?
Yeah, when you start weird screams, things may not work out for you. I don't know.
Oh, no, he was just 20 years early. I mean, where we are now, he could have screamed and still be president. It's just a little too early. Sometimes you're a little ahead of your game.
A year or two earlier, a year or two later, and screaming like a madman may have been just fine. If that's his worst crime, he probably would have been okay. But back then, who cares? So, Brandon Pfaadt didn't work out. Matt Mervis didn't work out. But I'm willing to bet they will bounce back and have, good careers, because they're both talented. So, we'll see.
Okay. Well, before you say what you're going to say, Mike, I'm just going to ask you, are these buy low opportunities for both these guys in Dynasty?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'd be looking to buy low for sure, especially on Pfaadt. I was big on him as well coming into the season. But to your point earlier, guys aren't always going to work out. I mean, Bobby Miller's been great. I don't think, if before the season, would you have, taken Pfaadt over Bobby Miller? Probably, right? Well, some of these other.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. But at the same time too, I think this is how it is. I mean, hindsight's 2020. These guys could come out of the gates and played really well. And we're sitting here talking about like, hey, we're the smartest guys in the world. Right. So, guys like Elly De La Cruz, Bobby Miller, Bryce Miller, all these guys are coming up. I think they're lottery tickets. I think Scott White talked about it in CBS. That's what you're buying when you select these guys, and hoping that they can transition from the minors to the majors in a smooth process. So
Yuri Perez has been stellar, but he wasn't talked about as much as Pfaadt was. Exactly. And again, I'm just going back to this overall machine group thing that no one is. It's like a corporation where no one's directly responsible. It's like you lop off the head of the latest person on the chopping block, and then the next person rises into power, and the corporation carries forth. And that's why I'm saying it's not fantasy baseball's fault. I'm just saying let's take a look, and I need to be more responsible for why do I like someone? Do I have tangible reasons? Do I have evidence based on data that I can support? It really has to be further scrutinized as well. And we already talked about it. It's already a talking point, but the leagues that these minor league parks take place in, right? And the types of homer-happy free-for-alls that are going on. We got to look at the context of this more. We're seeing more AA calls this year. I mean, Yuri Perez was AA. We just talked about another AA call up, right? For Mr. Sheehan, he got called to AAA, but didn't pitch, like Britton said. So, maybe there's something afoot here that's brewing, and I just think I need to look at my process further. So I'll blame myself. I don't blame anyone else, but I do think it's worth taking a look at overall. Just keep an eye on it.
It's only human nature, though. I mean, sure, some guys get pumped with helium because, especially in the off season, we all just want to, soak up as much baseball and fantasy baseball as we can, and our fantasy football teams have tanked, and we're tired of it, So, of course, we, hit the podcast and listen to smart people talk about baseball.
You have failed
in fantasy baseball. But, so, of course, like everybody wants to jump on the positive. And, he's got this 5-pitch mix and he does that. So, we're all attracted to that, like moss to the flame. It's like going to the craps table at the casino. You don't want to be the guy that bets on the don't come line. Like, get out of here.
Out of here. Yeah.
Like, go to the Pau Gow table or something. Leave these players alone. Like,
you embarrass me, man.
We're betting on the come, and like, get out of here. Yeah. So I think it's just human nature stuff.
Yeah. Remember when
Categorically irrelevant.
Towards the later end of draft season, when Anthony Volpe made the team and Jordan Walker, I mean, these guys were flying up draft boards, and their ADP skyrocketed. I bet you if you ask those people today how they felt about those moves, or taking those guys over, some more established veterans, probably kicking themselves in the ass right now. But like Britton, mentioned, it's human nature. You don't want to miss out. So on a guy, so I get it.
Get in your mouse and get out of here.
Look, that's
shout out Uncle Buck.
Yeah,
great movie.
Oh, see, there we go. Everyone loves John Candy. Everyone loves Uncle Buck. Shout out Uncle Bucks. Shout out John Candy. Rest in peace. And the only other thing I want to mention in that diatribe is that we have more coverage than ever. That's the thing I didn't mention. So when I say let's take a look at how everything's going, there's more coalescing of general consensus than ever because we got a billion podcasts, a bunch of assholes like ourselves. Hey, we're doing a podcast. We're going to write an article. Hey, we're going to do this. It's good. Keep it coming. Everybody get yours, okay? But just remember that. Just remember that. Keep an eye on it. I'm going to keep an eye on it more than ever. If that's my job, then that's my job.
Can I ask you, Michael Govier, a question? As a host of a wildly successful podcast conglomerate,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
The Palazzo podcast banner. Do you listen to other podcasts? Do you not? So you don't, just by assimilation, starting with other people's ideas. How can you take us, behind the curtain a little bit? Shout out Wizard of Oz. Hey, don't mind the man, behind the curtain. What do you do when it comes to other podcasts?
That's a great point. I'm so glad you brought this up because I didn't think of it. But I really removed myself more than ever. Year by year, I don't want to steal other people's takes inadvertently or unconsciously. I don't want to get my own opinions. In fact, I was the guy who was screaming about ADP in the offseason. Like, ADP is trash. You guys are just trying to set me up for failure. I want to do things my own way. I want to create my own rankings, have my own models set up so that I can stick with the people that I believe, based on the data that I'm looking at it from my perspective, is best for each player. I don't want to get caught up. So I don't listen to anybody's stuff at all anymore, not because they're not good, but two things. One, I don't want to get spoiled, like I said. And the second thing is there's other things I enjoy in life outside of fantasy baseball. So I know it's shocking for some. So if I have opportunity to listen to a podcast or just listen to music, I want to do that outside of just fantasy baseball stuff. So once you cover it for a living, and I love doing it. I love this show. I love doing it with you guys right now. And I'm so glad we get people in the live chat. We got a Discord. We got a whole world, like you said. It's awesome. But I have other interests that I want to pursue. So those two things, Britton, don't want to get spoiled by other people's takes and steal them inadvertently, and just trying to enjoy other things in life. That's pretty much it. And that prevents me from being locked in on anything else.
I love that answer. That was so honest and direct and straight to the point. Of course, I go the complete opposite. I listen to all the podcasts. So
I used to. I mean, that's what I came up on before. That's what got me to be here now. Is I listened to everybody's shit, and I loved In This League, and I loved a shout out old school Van Lee before Launch Angle, but there was also the other one that what was the other
Manly Van Lee?
Yeah, not just Launch Angle, but the other one he did that had a name to it. Damn it, I can't remember. But I used to love listening to those guys, and obviously CBS. I mean, I did all the classics, and then I was like, you know what? I want to do this. And as more time went by, I just have less time to absorb others for the reasons I stated. You know what I mean?
I remember it was a podcast two ago. You were talking about Matt Chapman, third baseman for the Blue Jays. And I remember you were saying, I should have just gone with my gut with Matt Chapman because he's in a walk year. He's super talented. He plays for the Blue Jays. And he really
crushes the shit out of the ball.
He crushes the shit out of the ball. And I heard a stat here today did you know that he's third in barrels in the AL, just behind Ohtani and Judge? It's Ohtani, Judge, and Matt Chapman.
Yeah. There you go. Right? I mean, he gets a lot of doubles out of those. I'd like to see him get more dongs, but he gets a ton of doubles. I mean, he's got close to 25 doubles already this year.
He's great. He's a great player. He's got a little bit of a slump here recently, but that happens to every player,
every hitter. Yep.
Not named Ohtani.
Huh?
Right.
What? Huh? I don't believe that. Yeah. Look, I'm just trying to be honest about stuff. I look around and just want to keep it real. I'm not in charge of the world of fantasy baseball. I'm just trying to look at what's going on and point out areas of improvement or lessons to be learned. That's really what all it is. Like there's the NFBC world is growing bigger than ever, it seems like, and I am all for that. I love Derek over there. I love all the guys at NFBC, but I still want to, as me and Mike, we talked about this, the Yahoo people. I mean, I'm born and bred, die. Just die. Yeah, I should just die for Yahoo Fantasy, man. I mean, those people are the people that play the most, and I don't ever want to just get caught up in one network. And I actually feel more of a pressure than ever this year that the NFBC people are dominating in the main event power. Like Mike Kurland, who is #1 overall in the main event. I wanted to mention this too. Our guy, Mike Kurland, the first guy who ever brought me on a podcast was Mike Kurland. He was our first guest also on the Palazzo podcast ever. That's a fact. That's awesome. I love Mike Kurland, and he's #1 overall in the main event. That's incredible right now. but it's NFBC centric in that way where like he's a celebrity, even though it's only June. He knows he could lose and he had fun with it. He was screwing around, calling himself King Kurland, and he loves to make fun. He loves to just take things to the limits, and I appreciate that. He knows he knows that he could easily lose, and this might not work out. But that main event is becoming a bigger deal year by year, and I appreciate that. But I don't ever want to lose aspect of the general populace that plays Yahoo on a much lower scale.
Yeah, and aren't points leagues the most popular? And
are they? I think head-to-head is the most popular. I think head-to-head is, but points leagues, there's head-to-head points, head-to-head cats, but yes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all right, I got to get off this. I'm just fucking ranting like a psycho. So, sorry about that, folks. Let's real quickly, talk about the return of the Mac. You never know when the Mac's going to return, but the Mac comes back. And when the Mac comes back, that means there's an opportunity for you to cash in on some fantasy output. So let me turn it over to Mike here. Mike, Return of the Mac. You love this jam. It's one of your favorites.
I was going to say, drop it.
Do the dice thing. I think you're doing the dice thing too much.
That's really all he's got.
All right, Mike, tell us about some players that are on the mend here or that are lost forever. Just tell injury hell, all that stuff.
Real quick, Lance McCullers and Vinny Pasquantino, they're both done for the year. Shame for Vinny P. I was big on him coming into the season. Dude just never got it going, but he's out for the year. He's having shoulder surgery. Trevor Story, I don't know if you guys saw online, he was making some throws from shortstop. Looks like he could be possibly returning in July. So maybe not to play shortstop, but to DH. Justin Steele had I believe it was forearm tightness. He's going to make his return tomorrow. So he's on your IR.
Wow, dude.
Make sure you get him back in there. Your boy, Michael Erod, looks like he's been starting to throw a little bit. So saw some reports that early July, maybe a possible return for him. Judge and Alvarez, last I saw updates from yesterday, there was no hard return date yet set for them. So if you guys
4 weeks on Jordan rumor. So.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah. So
that's it.
First round talents, obviously, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Nick Lodolo possibly returning in August. So I know he was great before the injury, but maybe this is some time to clear his head. So.
Risky. Summertime. Cincinnati. Yeah. Scary place. Watch out.
That's putting it mildly.
Oh, no. I mean,
There's some people out here say you stole their money.
Yeah, there's a lot of players out there who say you stole their money. But, it's not Nick Lodola's fault that he got hurt. Vinny Pasquantino is very talented. It's very sad that it worked out that way. Also, Trevor Story was already a declining asset at short a couple years ago. He came in really as a second baseman for the Red Sox. So how are we? I mean, if you got... Also, we should mention the unbelievable Alberto Mondesi. He's toast. He's not even playing the game or playing catch or having a game of pickle. Alberto Mondesi's toast now. I mean, there's two guys here, Trevor Story, Alberto Mondesi, and now it looks like clearly Story will be the guy that you can get some value from this year. It's so stupid. Why did I hold on to Mondesi in any league? Why did I do that?
He's young Moncada, just by a different name. This dude just doesn't like to play baseball, it looks like. He's so talented. He's so damn fast. Every year I feel like we talk about him being the stolen base king, and dude just can't not stay on the field. I'm done with Mondesi. I don't care if he's healthy or not. I'm not taking him on any of my teams. So you heard it here. Lock it in. Hit the lock it in button.
Boom. There it is. Locked in.
2 little mice fell in a bucket of cream.
Yeah, and it looks like Story's going to be the one that climbs out. Mondesi's drowned. Yep. He's dead. Mondesi drowned in a bucket of cream today in a tragic end to a once promising career. All right, let's move forward. Britton already mentioned Julio Urias. That's good. I told you guys Cody Bellinger's back. Somebody wrote here, Mike Tauchman. Keep Mike Tauchman in the lineup? Is this you, Britton?
It's me. Y'all remember Mike Tauchman from the Colorado Rockies.
Shout out Alex Chamberlain.
Shout out Alex. Everybody loved Mike Tauchman. Well, he's been hitting so well. Apparently, they're going to keep him in the outfield. He did not play outfield today because Cole Irvin is a lefty. So they benched Tauchman and played, as we mentioned, Patrick Wisdom in the outfield, which did not look good. There was one ball that the first run that the Cubs gave up, Hendricks gave up, was a ball hit to Wisdom, and he just kind of looked at it and it landed, and he kind of ran around after it, and it kind of hit off a couple things, and eventually he threw it in. It looked awful.
Trash. Good God.
It looked awful. But anyway, so.
Hey, wait,
yeah.
Joey Votto is crushing the ball AAA. He's going to come back and join the Reds. That's exciting.
Yep.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be any anything other than Spencer Steer moving from first to third. Kevin Newman's going to be on the bench, so it doesn't affect my call up of the year, which I correctly predicted a couple of weeks ago, Elly De La Cruz. So we're all good.
That's true. God, thank God for that, because we could not jeopardize your. It was such a great analysis when you dropped to have that jeopardized. Now, I mean, you gotta aim high. You went all the way. You called your shot and you aimed high, my brother. And I gotta tell you,
Mike was there to save my bacon. I will always be grateful.
I still love it though. I love that you shoot for the stars.
Aim high, Willis. Aim high.
All right, let's get into our main focus an hour later. The Do Not Draft List review. So we're talking about some players that are on our Do Not Draft List, and everybody has one. Even if you didn't officially call it your Do Not Draft List, you know the players that you didn't want to target or you tried to avoid this year. So let's get right to it. I'm going to start with Mike first. Mike, let's talk about some hitters. We'll focus on hitters here first.
Yeah.
And how you feel about the ones that you avoided and how you're feeling about it right now on June 16, 2023.
So I'm going to lump all these guys into one, and I'm sure you guys could probably figure out why. But I did not draft anywhere Giancarlo Stanton, Eloy Jimenez, and Luis Robert. I didn't want anything to do with those guys. I had a lot of shares of Eloy last year. I felt like I had him for years, and they just always burn me with injuries. So noting that Robert has been, knock on wood, I think he eclipsed his game total from last year. So
he's on the move. We're shooting for 98 next. Try to top 98 this year.
So I will say I love Luis Robert. I love the talent, and I just don't have any shares of him for that reason. I actually drafted them both last year on my my home league, Eloy and Robert, and got burned. So those guys were not on my do not draft list this year, and I feel pretty good about it. I've never been a Stanton guy. I mean, he hits the ball a country mile, but I hate his batting average and the fact that he's always hurt. So, and Michael Harris, I was very proud of that one, although he is turning it on. Looks like your Tigers kind of woke up the giant of Michael Harris. So hopefully he starts turning it around. But I wish I had some more shares of him because that whole lineup from top to bottom is so damn good.
Yeah, Michael Harris turning a corner here. People get excited. Look at the game log. Kicked the Tigers' butt. Had monster games there. Some homers, some steals, a little bit of everything. So it's exciting. And Michael Harris is eventually going to turn it around. He just wasn't going to be that bad. But I have to join you in saying that Michael Harris was on my do not draft list. I can't lie about it.
Too high for me. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a classic example of that.
I didn't dislike the talent. I just hated the price. And I also want to go and mention, I know a lot of people mention this, for everybody that's listening, our do not draft list was not necessarily, we're not drafting these guys anywhere. At least I'm going to speak for myself. I'll speak for you guys as well. It's more so of the price tag that you had to pay to get these guys. So I just wasn't willing to pay Michael Harris. I believe his ADP was in the third round. I just wasn't willing to pay that. So
no, he became a superstar last year, NL Rookie of the Year. And again, a guy who was called up from AA. I've said that a million times about Michael Harris.
Yep.
But you're right. I don't like paying on that because it's a rookie. I want to see it. And he was a touted prospect. He wasn't some afterthought either.
No.
It was strange. Yeah, I was a little dubious. I'm like, I don't know if I want to take that chance, but he's been terrible, but now he'll be fine rest of the season. I bet he crushes the ball rest of the year because that's just how this stuff works. Baseball's a crazy-ass game. Britton knows what I'm talking about. He's well aware of that. Okay, so I like you being honest there, Mike, coming clean. Let's turn over to Britton. Britton, how about some hitters that were on your do not draft list that you feel good about? Also ones that maybe you made a mistake on. You totally blew it. Like, wow, I didn't do that. I'm a moron. Oh, he's muted, though. He's got to unmute himself. You have to... Can I unmute you? Or is it... I don't have control. No, it won't let me do it. You're very special. Something happened to you, but now you're back.
Oh, it's good because I was just confess, and when I confess, I like to be muted so that no one can, because I have got big confessions.
That's putting it mildly.
Yes, and I will do the thing and say thank you for hearing my confession. Now, as Mike pointed out, these aren't players that I didn't want, or just people at their draft price that I was worried about. And number one is Jordan Alvarez, because he missed all of spring training. All of it.
He did.
He didn't play any spring training games, and it's because he had a hand injury that he had at the end of last season. Now, he played through it. They won a World Series. So I thought, in my narrative street was, I mean, he's a young player. They're not going to, if this thing hasn't healed in the months following, postseason and all that, they're not going to push him. They're going to he's going to have surgery. He's going to see the best doctors in the world, and they're going to get that fixed because he's long-term. Doesn't matter what he does in April of May of this year or whenever, long-term. Yep. So I didn't draft him in any first round.
Wrong!
Wrong, exactly. So I didn't draft him anywhere. He's one of the best hitters in the league. Obviously, that was a mistake. He played first game, opening day, and he's injured now, but he's like top 3 in the league in home runs. I mean, that's how it is. So I
can tell you real quickly, in my main event, I was sitting there with the opportunity. I had the 15th spot in the first round, back to back, get the turn, and I could have taken Jordan, and I didn't.
Who'd you take? Do you remember?
Mike, you can tell him.
Was it Sandy Alcantara that you took?
That's one of them. Who's the other one? There's 2 picks there.
I know. Sandy Alcantara and
that guy who I'm concerned
Manny
about.
Machado.
Yeah, there it is. Good job. Look at you. We got a big brand on the recall. Test that seal trap here. I'm impressed. Nice job. I got to say, that's the mistake, Britton. So I could have had Mookie Betts and Jordan there. I could have took both of them, and I don't regret Sandy. I don't regret it. It hasn't worked out, but he's on him. He's getting straight. He's getting there, and he's had some good moments. He's just had some bad breaks and a few unfortunate starts, but could have had Jordan.
Sandy's obviously Cy Young winner, but his ERA is 4.75.
It is, but his WHIP is like under 1.2, I think. So it's like, I look at that WHIP, and if it's under 1.2 and he's got a high ERA, I'm like, okay, he's going to figure this out.
It'll level. The water will find its level.
Exactly. If people don't want to hear that, like from like the data world, like for me, I can't tell you it's game theory, but guys that I don't draft, I'm like, you know what? I've played this game for 20 years. I know when guys ascend and then they get too high, and I don't want to draft them at that price because they're not going to meet the return. At the same time, I'm still making mistakes. So what the hell do I know, jackass? Sorry, Britton.
You're not going to buy low on Sandy Alcantara. No one's going to just give him away or anything.
That's not true. I've had a lot of questions. I will tell you this, Britton. I've had a lot of DMs. People are always hitting me up for free fantasy info. Actually, this is a whole thing I wanted to talk about, but I should have talked about it when we had our little thing earlier.
No. Let's go. Yeah, hit it real quick.
I love helping people out, and it's great. I don't want to charge for everything, but fantasy baseball people just want to get paid a little bit, for their effort and the work and the hours they put in. But then people are always hitting you up for free advice, and I'm happy to give it. But I admit it, it's kind of frustrating sometimes. It's like, damn, how do you grow your brand and expand yourself so that people know who you are in a very hyper-competitive situation that is fantasy baseball analysis? At the same time, try to get paid for your work, but also get free content out or just free analysis without being exploited. It's like a jumble in my head. It makes my head explode trying to think about it and make any sense of it all. Because in the end, I really don't give a shit. I'm happy to help people. I want to help people. But I sacrifice so much of myself so often. I'm like, someone's got to advocate for me because who else is going to advocate for me except myself?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Am I crazy?
I'm with you. No.
It's a compliment of everything you're saying is true, but it's a compliment. People are reaching out that want your opinion.
I appreciate that.
They're reaching out to you to get your opinion, which says a lot.
I appreciate that.
The other day, my It's Gone show is a teeny tiny little show, but there was a gentleman in listener comment that kind of had, it wasn't even negative, but it was some type of question, and I showed it to my wife Sarah. I was like, I got my first troll.
That's how Mike, yeah, you guys can talk about that.
You a rotten liar.
I had my first troll over the this past week too. It was just so crazy. I'm gonna go off a little bit of a side tangent here.
Yeah, please. Go for it.
Earlier in the year, we had a discussion. I can't remember who the analyst was. He's worked for Rotoballer, and he basically called out and said, "I don't want anything to do with Ronald Acuna. There's 15 other guys that I would take over him." And I was like, 15? That's a little much. I took Trey Turner at 1-1 over Ronald Acuna, and I hate it. But I still had Ronald Acuna as in my top 4. So they weren't getting on this guy. They were getting on my ass, being like, why would you take Turner over Acuna? I'm like, I didn't say he was outside the top 15. He was still in my top 4. And the consensus ADP for Turner was 1 and Acuna was 3. So
any of the monster WBC, can't deny that.
Yeah.
You can't reason with the trolls.
You can't.
The trolls with their crazy hair. You just got to let the trolls be trolls. But there's no logic. You might as well talk to a brick wall and try to explain something, like explain context and nuance. It's not. Yeah, you're gonna have as much luck. So no sweat.
I shouldn't have even indulged, but I just the temptation was just so high for me. I was like,
good for you. You're only human, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, screw it. Jamie says, Govier, I told you in your last few streams, it's called the Palazzo Fantasy app, and you charge $50 a pop for your content, brother. Yeah, sure. People are just going to plop down $50 a head. No problem. It's just that easy. Yeah. I get 7 people to do that probably. I admit that. Yeah, and I love all 7 people. I love all 15 patrons I have. I can't believe it, including Britton Allen, who's a member of this show, which makes no sense. But that's how good the content is, guys. Let me tell you. Anyways, let's get back to the do not draft list. I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. We're trying to share. See, I like both of these guys as a part of the show here. I'm always trying to be honest and keep it real, for right or for wrong, better for worse. And so is Mike, and so is Britton. And these guys are ready to rip themselves as much as anybody else. And that's always the first thing. And the key to a troll, is if you can rip yourself, then you really limit a troll's ability to hurt you. Like if you realize that you're fallible as hell, which we all are because we're human, it limits their ability. It does.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, Britton, did you mention another hitter you didn't get to mention? I'm sorry. You talked about Yordan Alvarez and Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge got hurt. So, I mean, like.
Speaking of embarrassing, and I love Aaron Judge. I think he is a great player. I think he is, not that this matters for fantasy, but also a great person. I think he handles himself well. I respect the S out of everything Aaron Judge. But my thought process, and I didn't draft him anywhere, is because you're coming off the big contract. Like, you're 30 years old. You've had the career year, career home runs, career stolen bases. You sign a big, huge guaranteed contract with the New York Yankees. Here's what I would do. And maybe this is a me problem, not an Aaron Judge problem. But I'd do like this. I'd be like, you know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to kind of just, do my best, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to burn my candle at both ends like I did last year, to get that contract. And of course,
that wasn't good.
Of course, I was wrong. Aaron Judge is one of the wrong. And his batting average last year was like 310 too. And I don't know what it is this year, but he hit. Everything has to go right, and everything went right. So I thought this year everything's not going right. That's not how baseball works. I thought he'd come down a little bit, maybe do like 40 home runs, which is a bunch. But you can also get Kyle Schwarber, 6 rounds later. So I wasn't that, I like Aaron Judge. I respect that. But in that first round where you have to pick Aaron Judge top 5. You have to if you want them, and I understand that too. But I want power and speed. Like I pick Jose Ramirez before Aaron Judge. And
I think a lot of people did do that.
Yeah. So and of course Jose Ramirez is having kind of a slow year, but that's kind of my thought process with Aaron Judge. So of course he's coming out lights out. He's hurt, but it's like a hand injury. Didn't he catch a fly ball and hit it like in the outfield or something? So
I don't know. I don't care because I don't really roster him anywhere. So
yeah, it wasn't like a groin or I think he's going to be fine and be back soon. So you better check yourself or you wreck yourself. Because tricks like you is bad for my health. So
yeah,
sorry.
That song's got a complicated history now. A little complicated. Shotgun bullets are bad for your health, but big dicks in your ass, they're not bad for your health. So that was a mistake on Ice Cube's part, looking back. But hey, we can't just.
That's a bad situation, no matter how you.
Both are bad situations.
If you voluntarily have a big dick in your ass, good for you. But he didn't say it was voluntary or not. He was talking about prison life, though. So a lot of that is it's not voluntary. I'm just letting you know that.
And
anyways,
for the kids listening, that's all fictional. This is not real.
La 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 la. Frozen.
Creative license in the 1990s. Ice Cube's never been to jail, okay? You better check yourself or you wreck yourself.
All right.
He lives in a $10 billion mansion in Bel Air.
Yeah, he's the guy that did Ride Along 2, Ride Along 7, and Are We There Yet? I mean, those movies are lame as hell. So Ice Cube has straddled the line of everything in his life. Good for him. But Aaron Judge I only drafted him one time, guys, Aaron Judge. One time this year in my 21 leagues, and that was in the Raz Slam, which is best ball points. And I just wanted to take one shot because I brought him up on Twitter, and I was like, boy, maybe everything Britton said was what I was thinking. Like, come on, it's got to have a fallback. But people were talking me out of it. Like, dude, this guy is in his prime right now. If I love Ohtani in his prime, why don't I love Judge in his prime? And I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. I mean, I could be wrong about that. So I took one shot at it, but he's still pretty good, though. He's still damn good. He just got hurt.
Yep.
And you have to remember, too, Aaron Judge had an injury history before a couple years ago. I mean,
that's always part of it.
That's why I didn't draft him. I was waiting for that to come. So
yeah, that was part of it. But the guy is in his prime, and he's really, really good. But yes, it's just a matter of how many games we get. Him and Stanton are the running gag in New York for years. Who's going to play the most games? Who can crack 100?
Correct.
All right. For me, I was off Julio Rodriguez a bit just because he was so good last year. I'm not saying it was like a straight up do not draft, but I ended up going Acuna or Turner in all of my, or Ohtani actually. Acuna, Turner, and Ohtani were the three guys I rotated in the opportunities where I had the number 1 overall pick or a top 5 pick. And I feel pretty good about that sale, even though Turner, had a terrible start this year. He'll be fine in the end. But Ohtani was a guy that I took number 1 overall where I could in 12-teamers too, and I don't regret that. Because I think Ohtani is incredible for all the reasons he is incredible.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. It's the do not draft list. So I also did not draft or had no interest in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I did not draft him at all.
Ooh.
Not one single share. Wasn't interested. Manny Machado would have made that list if I hadn't for some reason drafted him stupidly in a moment of stupidity at the main event.
Why no Vladdy? Interested to hear that.
I just thought that there was better options for first base that could comparatively. I thought Matt Olson would rise up this year and could meet what Vladdy could potentially do. So that comes down to I'm just not going to pay that price right now because I think there's other first base options that are going to get me where I need to go. That's all it was, really. It wasn't a slight on him so much.
It's so funny you bring that up because I did exactly that. Is I passed on Vladdy and hoping that I could get Matt Olson rounds later. So, and if you compare their numbers from last year, I think really the only thing that Vladdy had him in was average and I believe OBP, but that was really it. The counting stats were very similar.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's really the style was just real simple for me. It just came down to an opportunity cost. Let's see. I said I avoided Michael Harris. We covered that. I avoided Nolan Arenado everywhere because he's always on my do not draft list. And I actually wrote about this, I think, a couple weeks into the season on Groove with Govier, ftnfantasy.com, my weekly fantasy baseball roundup article. And he's just a guy who's always on my list that I need to get over this stupid bias with because Nolan Arenado, very useful fantasy player, right, guys? Oh, yeah. What am I doing?
I love him. He's on my draft list every year.
Oh, well, then that's why I need to get more connected with you so I can get that Arenado bias off my brain. They get stuck, and it's so stupid. But I'm just being honest about it. You all got your biases out there about players that you still do, and you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And that's Nolan Arenado for me. Okay, let's Yeah, there's probably some more guys, but I don't want to cover every single guy. I want to get some pitchers too before we get out of here, which we haven't covered. So let's go over to pitchers. Mike, you want to talk about some pitchers that were on your do not draft list and how you feel about it now?
And this is my part of the show where I get to admit when I was wrong. So Mitch Keller was on.
Wrong!
I don't know how anybody felt good about coming into him, but even when he started to show signs of his early success, I was like, nope, flash in the pan, couple good starts, don't care, don't want him. I'm kicking myself in the ass on that one. I usually do not draft. I'm never going to own shares of Garrett Cole and Corbin Burns, and I kind of, with the state of starting pitching the way it is, I wish I had more shares of those guys, even though Burns hasn't been really that great this year.
I'll just jump in real quick on Burns. Was like my number one not drafting pitcher this year. Number one for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that at all. I don't.
No. I just think I usually go hitter in my first or hitters my first two picks, and obviously depending on the format, but those are usually my first two picks. Jacob deGrom was another guy, obviously, just because the injury history, there's no any detailed analysis there. And then also these two guys who I just wanted nothing to do with, Clayton Kershaw, just because they have his innings last year. I didn't know how much he was going to pitch. Another year older. I was like, don't want him. He's been lighting it up. And then Blake Snell, who's been incredible. This is what he does. He just sucks in the beginning of the season, and then he just turns it on and mows everybody down. So,
well, he seems to have one half of a season either way. You can't really get a whole season out of him.
Exactly. Yeah. So those guys, I wish I had more shares of Mitch Keller. I dragged that guy through the mud because he burned me a couple years, especially when he first came up. And then Clayton Kershaw. I thought he was. I don't know. I thought his ADP was even still too high where people were taking him at, but he's been pretty damn good. So
that's another. He's kind of like my Arenado on the pitching side, guys. Yeah. I'd never draft Kershaw because I always think at this point now it's all going to end. What you said, he was even talking possible retirement. Maybe it's over, but he comes back and he gives you excellent ratios. It's something I'll have to live with the rest of my life that I was so adverse to Kershaw in his last 5 years or so. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. Total mistake. I was wrong.
Wrong.
That's me. Britton, what about you? Some pitchers?
Oh, I was just thinking about Blake Snell for a minute. Have y'all ever heard Blake Snell talk or give an interview?
It's painful.
I have.
Hilarious.
Always know if the juice is worth the squeeze.
He's so funny. Like when I hear him talk, it sounds so strange because you look at him and he's a dominant pitcher, a Cy Young Award winner, and then you hear him talk. He's like, "Oh man, I don't know what happened over there." I'm like, "Are you like in Steel Magnolias? Like it's where are you from? I don't know."
Remember that stupid time he had that stupid online gaming thing that he had during the lockout? Yeah, so
I think he played MLB The Show online too, and
that was the thing, and he was just
it's just so bizarre. It's I don't know. So I got a little sidetracked on there, but so
it's not your fault. Don't worry.
Fuck yourself.
Oh mate, they trade some slapdick player for who? Oh mate,
is that Nolans? You sound like you're from Nolans.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that sounds New Orleans.
Yeah, that was some knowledge.
It's not your fault.
All right, so the pitchers I avoided this year are like ageist pitchers. Like Mike was saying, like I don't want Verlander. I'm never going to draft Verlander. I'm never going to draft Scherzer.
No Scherzer here. But I did like Verlander. I would have drafted Verlander more, but no Scherzer.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. Like it's going to come to fruition that these guys are going to break down. And so I just focus on younger pitchers like, Michael, we were talking about like Julio Urias, Max Fried. Like those are the pitchers I want. They're on good teams, great teams in their prime. And of course, Max Fried and Julio Urias are both injured, ironically.
Yeah, but I really liked Urias this year. So he was on my draft list and I wanted to draft him more. But Fried was on my do not draft list.
Totally get it. But those were the guys I was targeting. I want pitchers in their prime on good teams. And for some reason, you could get Julio Urias in, 4th round, 5th round, depending on, what draft. And I was like, he has more wins than any other starting pitcher in the past 3 years. Like just underrated. But you see how that worked out, unfortunately. But the best laid plans. So
It's
those
not
were
your fault.
It's not your fault. Drew Rasmussen was another one that I really liked. Of course, a lot of people did, but he's gone too. So the pitchers left standing on some of my. Oh, what about Nate Eovaldi? Were y'all? I was not on Nate Eovaldi whatsoever.
Well, I mean, he was going so late. You could get him in the, I think, post 200s, 240 range, 230 range. And I would have done it if it worked out. It just didn't line up enough for me to do it. But I wasn't against it. But I wasn't motivated either. It was kind of a indifference on Eovaldi for me.
Yeah, I was the same way. And the injury concerns, obviously, the dude's just never been healthy his entire career. So that was part of my reason why I wasn't taking him. But the ADP was actually overall consensus was pick 221. So yeah, I didn't mind him at that price. It's kind of to me, but he's been incredible too.
He's one of the best pitchers in the league right now. If you look at the stats, so
the Rangers buying all the Rangers this year was a benefit. It was a smart move because the Rangers have exploded. They've really turned it up. They've taken off this year, except Will Smith was Will Smith was someone that didn't get drafted at all as a closer. Maybe in the deepest leagues. I don't want to hear your bullshit about that. So that's a fluke in terms of players that weren't on the radar. But everybody else, from Marcus Semien to Mr. Eovaldi, and I mean Dane Dunning is trash. He's a fraud, but he's been useful. I would not, Corey Seager, yeah. Corey Seager's on my do not draft list.
Every year he's on mine just because the injury concerns. He's the version. He can lump him in with Robert and Eloy for me. But
he was on a new team. He had a new lease on life here. Things change, and we have to adjust to that. And I'm open to Seager now. I did draft him on my second to last draft of the year before the season started for a Fantrax 50 Classic. It's like you pay, I think it's $100, and it's a head-to-head points, and if you win, you get like $800. And I did draft Seager there. That's my only share of Seager, but a guy I wish I had drafted, and I have to take it like a man here, guys, and the pitching side is Kevin Gausman. I was anti-Kevin Gausman. I did not draft him anywhere. I have no shares, and that looks like a mistake to me this year.
I'm in the exact same boat, and I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't draft Kevin Gausman anywhere, but I didn't.
I'm not exactly sure either.
Yeah, I guess I was focusing on other players, but
I liked him. I liked him, but I was not drafting him at his price tag. That was my thing. But
that's always the factor, right, Mike? I'm glad you said that. It's not just the player.
Yeah,
where they're at. How can I get him?
Exactly. He's been incredible too, just racking up Ks. I think last I checked, he was up there. I think he's one of the league leaders in strikeouts. So.
Yeah, he's top 3 in the AL in strikeouts.
Yeah,
he's been incredible.
He's their best pitcher. Alek Manoah has had a terrible fall from grace this year. He's got a lot of issues going on internally, and I'm not here to rip on him for that at all. But Alek Manoah that sucks. It just sucks for him.
Yeah.
But Gausman has been their saving grace, and Toronto needs him in real life for them to be a real World Series contender. Yeah. Let's see, real quickly for me, Yu Darvish was a guy I didn't draft anywhere. I'm done with Yu Darvish. I've had enough.
Same.
Yep. You get some Ks, you get a plus over 9 K per 9, but you get the whip issues and the blow up starts here and there.
ERA is still over 4 this year, so I'm not.
Yeah,
I agree with that call.
Right, it's just the same old story there. Yeah. Anybody else we didn't mention here? We're going to wrap up the show and move on with our lives. There's so much more we could have talked about, but at least we covered this, which was the main focus of the show. So I'm grateful for that. Anybody else we didn't cover that you guys want to get on the record for feeling good about or feeling terrible about?
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, just real quick, I'm a huge Jorge Soler guy. I'm so glad I have him in a lot of my leagues. When he went on that toward home run pace, I just hope he stays healthy. His ADP was 333. That was his pick, and he's got over 20 home runs. So I think he's got 20 on the dot actually. But I'm really happy I have him in a lot of spots.
Well, Mike, remember last show we did last week? We talked about Machado and Soler because my guy Steve in the live chat, shout out to Steve, brought up, so what about Soler's thumb? And then Soler's had a double dog game again, and he's overcome that thumb. Looks like the thumb's okay. He's fine. So,
real quick, since you're talking about Manny, how are you feeling about Mr. Machado? Because I think that's somebody I wanted to discuss today because over his past 2 weeks, he's hitting 320 with 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. I understand that part of those games were in cores, but maybe possibly starting to turn on. You got to feel good about it.
Coors.
Yeah, I mean, my main event team's in the shitter, so who cares? It's like you could put anybody in the starting lineup. I got Jake Berger. He's fun, but that team is awful. I am so embarrassed that my main event fall from grace. It's really, really bad, and I got nothing. Machado will be in the lineup. Yay, woohoo! Yay.
This right here is a silver bullet, all the way from Colorado.
That's what I need. That's right. So
Wrong!
Britton, anybody else we didn't mention before you get out of here?
One pitcher, one hitter, real quick. Domingo Germán, the Yankees starting pitcher, has a 2.2 ERA his last 7
That's
starts.
stupid. He's cheating all the time.
He's cheating all the time, and he's so effective when he cheats. So, if he was suspended for sticky stuff. So if somebody dropped him in your 10, 12-team league, go pick him up. He's a really good pitcher and a super sneaky pick. And I know you guys are going to love this because first baseman's rough. Vladdy's not hitting well. Mervis got sent down. It's depressing at first base. Trey Mancini is not good. But Ryan Mountcastle went on the IL. So who has emerged from the ashes? My man, Ryan O'Hearn. Watch Michael Govier lose his mind.
We just talked about him last week.
Ryan O'Hearn. Oh, you did? Oh, great.
Yeah.
Ryan O'Hearn, lefty bat. He bats cleanup for a team called the Baltimore Orioles, which are leading the division. They are coming on strong. So if you need first base help, go
Stupid! Get out of here, man. Get out of here with that O'Hearn crap.
Go get Ryan O'Hearn. 315 batting average. He bats cleanup for the O's. I think he had 2 hits today. So you go, Ryan O'Hearn. Forget those Royals. They gave up on you. That's okay. Baltimore. The Baltimore people were from the Houston Astros. They're smart. They know what they're doing. And they got you, Ryan O'Hearn. And now you're in the CI spot and you're driving Michael Govier crazy and he has something to do. He just wants to press the button. And I'm just going on and on about Ryan O'Hearn.
Wrong!
I just wanted to lock you in. I was waiting for you to stop talking to give you full credit. That's all.
It's not your fault.
Also, look at this. Polar Knight says, no, thanks to you. Finally, an OCD-friendly podcast. All right. Finally, an OCD-friendly podcast. Yeah, we're happy to help, Polar Knights. Welcome to the show. Twitch. We don't get as many people on Twitch here, so we welcome you, Twitch subscribers. If you want to jump on YouTube to subscribe, that's cool too, Polar Knights. Polar Knights, we're here for you. More chaos, more OCD-ness, the better. Why not? Who cares? We're trying to have fun here and inform at the same time. As we go out the door here, guys, Edward Olivares is heated up. He's finally getting his bat consistently in the lineup, and he's performing. So I wanted to we talked about hitters to pick up. I wanted to throw Olivares in there real quick. We talked about Michael Harris. You want to mention Jose Abreu, Mike? Jose Abreu, you excited?
Starting to turn it on just a tad. I'm not saying that I'm fully buying in yet, but he has turned it around lately.
Okay, that's fair. But Edward Olivares is a deeper, cheaper play who should be widely available, who's looking like he's going to be somewhat of the player I hoped he would be when I drafted him on my main event team as he sat in my outfield spot all season long. By the way, Mitch Haniger, thanks for the 0 all week by getting hurt. I just sat there and take it because I had no outfielders to put into my main event lineup. And to Matt Mervis for being demoted, also in my main event lineup. It's taking a 0 at first base. The only guy who's a hitter who I could plug in for the lineup change on Friday today was Adalberto Mondesi, who is on the IL. Then I have 6 pitchers on the bench who I can't change because you can't change pitchers midweek. Good job, Mike. You are a fantasy master, Michael Govier. I don't know how you've done it. Incredible. All right. Well, hey, it's been great. This has been a lot of fun. I love this vibe. I love this crew. This is good times, right?
This is really fun. I really liked it.
I had a blast. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I think we learned something. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all part of the show here. You don't have to thank me. Thank the listeners. Thank the audience on YouTube. Subscribe. Do all the things you do. Make sure you follow MKB Fantasy, Britton Allen, 2 T's, 2 L's, MJ Govier,
Utah.
Lots of podcasts, 2 L's, 2 Z's. Gonna turn it over now to Russell Crowe. He's got still has a budding moving career. It's incredible. And this is the official fantasy baseball podcast of Russell Crowe. Thanks, everybody. Hope this was useful, or even if it wasn't, hopefully it was entertaining. Bye-bye.
Right, lads. Now, I know there's not a faint heart among you. And I know you're as anxious as I am to get into close action. But we must bring him right up beside us before we spring this trap. That will test our nerve. And discipline will count just as much as courage. The Acheron is a tough nut to crack. More than twice our guns, more than twice our numbers. And they will sell their lives dearly. They mean to take us as a prize. And we are worth more to them undamaged. Their greed will be their downfall. England is under threat of invasion. And though we be on the far side of the world, this ship is our home. This ship is England. So it's every hand to his rope or gun, quick's the word and sharp's the action. After all,